Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. If you're new here, hi, my name is Luna and welcome to Luna's bookshelf. In today's video I'm going to talk to you guys about all of the books I read in the month of November, and I'm just going to quickly go through them, give my rating and my thoughts on it, and yeah, that was it. So let's get started. So first we're going to take a look at the statistics of the books I read this month. In November, it's already December now, before we get into the books. So I read a total of 6 books this month in November. Then looking at the genres, I read 1 fantasy, 1 thriller, 2 fictions, literary fiction, 1 romance book, and 1 non-fiction book. So that's quite a diversity of different books I read previous month, so I think we did good. I think I'm thinking about what my books are on my TBR. I will maybe put a picture on it here, but I don't remember which books I put on my TBR in my last video, if I even made a video. I think I made a video, but I'm not sure anymore, so I'm sorry. So yeah, I'm going to go through them chronically. So I'm going to start with the first book I read in the month. And the first book I read in the month of November is Variety by Colleen Hoover. I actually started this the last day of October, so the 31st of October, and I had only like 20 pages left, but I was able to finish it, so I just had to finish it the day after, which was the 1st of November. So it's kind of like I did finish it in November, but I read most of it in October, but I'm going to count it in November anyways because I did finish it in the month of November. So, but yeah, this was the only book I have left for her, and I really wanted to read because I did hear a lot of good things about this book, so I was really excited going into it. And I read it on Halloween, so it was the perfect vibe to read this book. So yeah, I read Verity, and it is a very quick-paced thriller book. It is about Lowen, and she is an author who is kind of struggling with something new, because her job is not going that well, you know. Then all of a sudden she meets Jeremy Crawford, and he is a husband of Verity Crawford, and she is a very successful author. But she has an injury, which just means she can't finish the series she's currently working on. So there's a proposal where Lowen is asked to finish the series of Verity in her place. So yeah, because they have quite a similar writing style, etc. So yeah, so for this she has to go to the house of Verity, because there are all her notes on the book she's writing and on the further continuation for the series. She just goes there, and Verity is obviously also there, but she is like she is awake, but she's not fully awake, you know, she can speak and etc. And when she is there are really weird and creepy things happening that she's like, what is going on? And there's also, in this book, it's divided in 2 kind of perspectives. You follow obviously mainly the perspective of Lowen, but when she is in a desk, looking through the desk of Verity, she finds kind of a manuscript about the life of Verity herself. So she starts reading this, and you get along reading this with her too. So you have kind of 2 versions. As you can see, you have like, I'll show you. That's easier. So you just have this, like the normal page, but then you also have, I'm trying to look for something where I just have the first chapter. This is chapter 1. Okay, and then you have this. You see this is cursive, and this is then chapter 1 of the manuscript, so it switches between those 2. And yeah, it is exciting. I just couldn't put it down. I was so excited, I was so interested. I mean, the writing style is very easy, and it's not that hard to understand. It's not that it's like, whoa, this is such beautiful and interesting writing, but it is good. It was a quick read, so I'm glad with it. I gave this book 4 stars, not 5, 4 stars. I think it was a good, fun, quick read to get through. I was a bit creeped out, not gonna lie about that. So yeah, definitely a fun book to read in between other books. Then the next book, I think It's, if I'm correct, yes, this book is a book I don't have currently physically with me because I borrowed it from the library, but it is Sex and the City. This is a Dutch book by a Belgian author, and I loaned it from the library, as I previously told you. So it is a literary fiction. It is about a girl, I kind of forgot her name, I'm sorry. I'm going to quickly look up her name. So it's about Merel, and she is, yeah, she's just like everyone, a little bit different than other people you might know. She is single, which is nothing special, but she goes along in this book. You go along with her journey on getting to know herself better and everything in her dating life. And I really think it's a fun book to read. It was very quick, and I really love reading more Dutch books. That was one of my goals this year, and I accomplished that, so yay! And I really think it was very interesting to see, because this is not a book I would normally think of when thinking of books written by Belgian authors or Dutch authors. So I thought it was very interesting. It's a lot. It's not easy to just say what it's about. It just mainly focus on Merel and discovering herself through the book. So yeah, very interesting, and really liked it overall, and I gave it 4 stars. Then the next book is a book I had on my shelf for quite a long time already, but I now was finally able to read it because I was really in the mood for it. And that book is none other than Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. So yeah, this is quite a thick book, first of all. But I did not know what it was about. I haven't read any Lauren Asher books before, but I did hear some good things about it. But I also heard some things that people thought it was a little bit too long. But in my opinion, it wasn't. I could eat this book up even if it was 200 pages more. So yeah, this is the first book in the Lakefront Billionaire series. There is another book, I also have that. I'm looking at it right now, and that is Love and Rhythm, that follows someone other. So this book is about Julian and Delia. Delia, I don't know if I'm pronouncing them correctly. So Delia, she is going back to this small town in a lake, returns to Lake Wisteria, and Julian Lopez. He is like, he owns a place, not he doesn't own the place, but he has his own company and he makes a great living, if you can tell. She is an interior designer, and she just comes back because she also just broken off her engagement, so she's going through that as well. And Julian, just when they were young, they were both a little bit rival to each other, so it's kind of fun to see because they still kind of are, and you see they talk about how things used to be. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm sorry. I really enjoyed this book. It is, even though that's this thick of a book and big of a book, I really went through it and I was really invested. It is also dual POV, and I love that in the book. I do think it needed to be dual POV, because if it wasn't, I don't think I would have liked it as much as I would. But a really great romance book, and I'm very excited to read the next book and all the other books that are coming out. And by reading this book by Lauren Asher, I really am interested to read all of her other books, because if I ate already this book up, I'm probably going to eat up all of her other books too. So yeah, I give this book 5 stars. I really love it. I'm just always thinking about it in the back of my mind, like Julian Lopez, he just love him. And Delia, I kind of recognize myself sometimes in her, so yeah, that was it. I also underlined some quotes, but I just have to take some, because I took photos from the quotes I wanted to highlight, but I was on the train, so it wasn't very stable to underline something, you know, but I just have to do that as well. But yeah, really fun reads. Then the other book is something a little bit more different than other books I normally read, and that book is Hoe lang is levenslang. And this is an interview style kind of book, so it is an interview with Samari en Waterdame, and they are both lawyers. And then Fatma Tasminaar, she is a journalist, a crime journalist here in Belgium for VRT, and she interviews them in this book about the law and the justice system here in Belgium. And I think it was very interesting to read all of this, and it gave me a lot of new different perspectives. I studied law for 1 year. I did quit. I know, but I still am very interested in all of it and how the system works. So yeah, it was very interesting to read. Also the view of them and how they look at journalists, and I am studying journalism, so it was really interesting to see that. So yeah, I read this book in one sitting. It was really interesting to read. It's also very easy to read because it is an interview style and it is obviously my native language. So yeah, if you are from Belgium, I really recommend reading it. Even if you don't know a lot about law or just the system here in Belgium, I think it could be really interesting to learn about it more. I don't read non-fiction books, so I'm not going to make an exception for this one. I just don't think it's necessary to read non-fiction books. So yeah, that was the third book, no, the fourth book I read this month. Then on to the next is a book. I was a little bit scared for this because I heard a lot of great things about it, but it is more out of my comfort zone, this kind of book. But that was also one of my goals, to read more books that are not my typical genre to read. And this book was A Man Called Uva by Frederick Bachman. You saw me reading this book in a reading vlog I made. You will see the video somewhere. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. But yeah, I read this book in a reading vlog. And the other thing is, it was good. But yeah, so what this book is about, if you don't know, this book is a translated book from, I think, Danish. So it's normally, yeah, in Denmark. So it's translated in English from Danish. So yeah, this book is about a man called Uva. I thought that was a right pronunciation, Uva. And he's like an older, grumpy man, and everyone thinks he's just like, why is this man so grumpy? His wife also died, so he's alone, and he lives down the street, and there's a new couple moving in, and a lot of things are happening. And you also get to see, it switches between two POV, yeah, not between two timelines, between the now and then the then. So it's not really like, it doesn't say it that's now or when it's then, but you get to it. You will recognize when it's the past and when it's now, you know? So yeah, this is really more of a very character driven book, so be aware of that. I did know it, but at some times I was a little bit too character driven. I mean, there could be a little bit more other things going into it, which sometimes it made me feel kind of bored in it. So yeah, I think it is a great book overall, and I think I will read another book by Frederick Bachman, just because I'm interested in, and it did read very quickly. But sometimes it was a little bit more boring to read. But yeah, I kind of knew it was going to be more character driven, and I do kind of like to read something with a little bit more plot. But yeah, so I liked it. I gave it 3.5 stars. It's still a good book, but I won't be thinking about it too much. Then the last book I read in the month of November is a book that's also on my TBR for a very long time. But like, I mean, a very long time. You've probably seen this book in some of my TBR videos, and I finally read it, and I'm so proud of myself because I can finally scrap it off my TBR, my physical TBR. So yeah, and that book is This Woven Kingdom by Tara Maffei. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I'm sorry if I'm not. So this is a fantasy. I do think it's a young adult. I will put all the things, yeah. I do think it's a young adult, but I'm not sure. So I started this book a few years ago, but I just stopped. But I did start all over again because I was like, I don't know what this book is about. So this book is about Alaise, and she is a servant, but there's something more going on. She's not just a servant, you mean? She is, on the back it says, she is hunted always, forced to hide in plain sight, lest she expose herself to danger, until one day she makes a mistake. So there is something going on. She is a long lost heir of an ancient Jin kingdom, which is pretty special, not so safe when it takes place. And all of a sudden, the crown prince Kamran, he sees her and he's like, what is going on with this girl? So yeah, there are some things happening. They're going to be maybe a romance, maybe not. I'm not going to spoil anything. There is some tension. So yeah, I did enjoy it overall. It is, what I really liked about this book was mostly the fact that the chapters are not that long, and I really love books with short chapters because I have the feeling I get through them quicker. I did get a little bit more, not bored, but a little bit like stuck. At some point I was like, I'm not in the mood to read this book, but when I got through that point I was really invested, and I'm really interested to read the other book because I also have that book, and that is, I will just show it to you guys because it's right next to me, and that is These Infinite Threads. So I'm very interested to see and to read this book and what is going to happen. The only thing I hate about it, this is a rally. I know I'm going off topic, but look, they don't match. This Woven Kingdom is smaller. Why? So I hope if I do like the second book, that there is a third book, and I don't know how many books there will be in this series, but that the third book will match with this one because it's going to be next to it, you know. So yeah, but I did like it overall. It is a good book, and I think I will definitely continue the series, and I do recommend reading it. It is very interesting. It is also in another kind of world, and the world building is not that much world building. It's not that hard of a fantasy to understand. So yeah, I think it's really interesting, and I gave it, I said I gave it 4 stars, but I think I'm going to go with 3.75 because it's just not that 4 stars, but 3.75 is still a good rating. So yeah, that are all the books plus one I read in the month of November, and I'm quite happy with all of the books. I don't have any book that I was like, I don't like it, so I think that's pretty good, and I'm pretty happy with that. So yeah, there's one more month left in 2024, and I hope I will get to read some other very fun books. I don't know yet if I'm going to make a separate wrap-up video for my December wrap-up, but we'll see. I'm not going to talk about it. I do wish I would be able to film Bookmas because I see all of my favorite booktubers film Bookmas, but I'm just not able to do that because I'm still a student and I still have exams in January, so I'll have to study during the holidays, which is pretty sad. But yeah, maybe one day I will be able to do Bookmas or just more videos in a week. But yeah, I hope you liked this video, and if you came this far in the video, leave down a rose emoji in the comments, and also leave down which was your favorite book of the month of November, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye!